Today, New Jersey mandates gender identity lessons be taught for school children. Is Elon Musk planning a hostile takeover of Twitter? And Joe Biden's approval rating just keeps getting lower. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Chad Prather, America's favorite cowboy and host of The Chad Prather Show, also author, entrepreneur, jack of all trades, really.
It's a long list. I'm glad to be joined.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Also, I've been dying to get this girl back on my show, but she's just been so busy. Sydney Watson, of course, BlazeTV host and political commentator. Sydney Watson, who you should be subscribed to if you are not already.
I don't get a list.
Well, it's fair.
I got a list.
Only Ted gets lists.
I got a list for Sydney.
That's fair. We need to come up with a list for you.
That's okay, we can do that. But I know I'm just glad to be here, and I'm sorry that it took me so long, but it's nice to be on with my two favorite people.
Oh. I know. Everyone's like, when are you having Sydney back? I'm like, I don't know. Why don't you ask her?
Yeah, that is true. It's, between filling my cup up to have more things to say and then pouring it out into other shows. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I totally
I'm just
hear
a
you
disappointing human. What can I say?
No, you're not. And you're here, and we're happy about it. Let's get into this first story. So New Jersey public school students now are being mandated to learn about gender identity in new sex education lessons. Now, I said school children, so people may be thinking like, well, what is this? Well, first graders are having planned sex education lessons. There's a 30-minute lesson called Pink, Blue, and Purple that aims to teach the 6-year-olds to define gender, gender identity, and gender role stereotypes. It also includes instructions for teachers to tell students that their gender identity is up to them. So you might feel like you're a boy even if you have body parts that some people might tell you are girl parts, and vice versa. What could possibly go wrong? Who knows? Also, I'm sure this has nothing to do with all of the mental health issues, the mental health rise in teens and children who are being sent through these schools, but what do I know? I want to show an animated video by this organization. It's called Amaze, and the video is called Puberty and Transgender Youth. This is one of the proposed lesson plans for 5th graders under these new New Jersey guidelines. Watch.
A person who is transgender is someone whose internal sense of their gender, being a boy, girl, or something else, doesn't match their physical body. People who feel this way sometimes feel anxious when they begin to reach puberty and their body starts to change in ways that don't match their internal sense of their gender. These feelings are totally normal.
Totally normal.
If you feel you want more time to explore how you feel about your gender before your body starts to change, it's important to talk with a parent, counselor, therapist, or doctor about the feelings you have regarding your gender. After some discussion and counseling, you may be referred to an endocrinologist.
So
endocrinologists specialize in hormones.
I think we get the way it goes. We don't need to. So totally normal.
When did Barack Obama become an endocrinologist?
I just want to know which child knows what an endocrinologist is. That's great. Most adults don't even know what that is.
So let's just rehash it. This is from a school, right? They're doing this at a school?
This is for pudding people, yes.
Is this at a...
Okay, so this is
prefrontal cortex people that aren't developed.
New Jersey public schools, period. Like they're mandating that gender identity be taught to school children.
Across the board? Or is this high school?
This particular video is for 5th grade.
5th grade?
5th grade.
That's what, a 10-year-old?
Yes.
This is prepubescent. I mean,
yes. Yes. Like, can you...
Hold on, they're not prepubescent as far as Islam goes, Chad.
Okay.
Cultural insensitivity, thank you.
It wasn't the dominant paradigm I was going for, but...
So you know my son very well,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
My son is 9, almost 10. Mm-hmm. Could you,
No.
He's not even in the realm of, understanding and comprehending any of this.
I see how he signs his name.
Which I have later on in the show.
So, which is precious, right? But he's perfectly on track for that spot in his life. Here's where I'm at. So let's go back to the don't say gay bill, right? And then everybody came out on their platforms just saying gay, gay, gay. Like suddenly gay was going to appear if you said it enough times, like, screaming it in the mirror and, Beetlejuice.
That's actually Lori Lightfoot who appears.
Exactly. So I just started screaming groomer, 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 because they hate that word because it touches a nerve, but it is what it is. When did being trans stop being a subcategory of a subcategory and statistically non-existent to now all of a sudden this has got to be on the tip of our tongues at all times? This is something that's got to be taught, it's got to be in curriculum, it's got to be promoted, it's got to be in the media. All of this stuff that we have to have certain levels of inclusivity and acceptance for this thing that was virtually non-existent. The reason it's existing now is because of groomers, groomers, groomers. They're making this a reality. They're creating something out of nothing. And that's exactly what it is. I don't care if you get pissed off or not. I'm not anti anybody. You can be what you want to be, but when you start doing this and we care about your child. Don't care so much, because I'm starting to think you're caring a little too much, and that's the problem I have.
Well, they care about indoctrinating your child to a specific political position and ideology. They don't care about your child.
No.
Right? They just care about getting more minions.
Well, they can't reproduce, right? So they can't. Like, you get a gay couple together, they can't reproduce.
Right.
They either want to abort or euthanize everybody anyway. So liberals just kill you. Anyway, so they can't reproduce, so they have to propagate their ideologies into a whole other generation. So what they're going to do is use your kids like the Bolsheviks did to convert them to communism in 1917. It's exactly what they're doing. It's a brainwashing technique.
They're much more malleable.
Well, they are, yeah. I can't really work out the objective of, because I get what you were saying. It's like children like this, they're not born, they're made. I think that's sort of the general consensus from a lot of people. But what occurs to me too is that there's actually no net societal benefit of promoting this, because you do, in fact, in the long run, end up sterilizing people. So if this is like a population control measure, which sounds crazy, but if it is, then it's not a bad way of going about it, because if you sterilize children at 12... You're on board with sterilizing kiddos?
No, I'm on board with
your theory.
I'm on board with less population.
There are too many humanoids. This is true.
Yeah.
Maybe the lizards are taking over.
Friday night, I went to eat at a Texas Roadhouse. There's way too many people on the planet.
No, way too many dum-dums on the planet. There's a difference. Once you dilute the gene pool with idiocy, it's like, oh, great, we're living in that movie.
There's
Idiocracy.
a lot of that. There's a lot of
We're
that.
all going to be Soylent Green in a few years.
So back to your point, Sydney, and I think it's a good one.
It's a really good one.
You start to look at what is the motive, like what is the drive, what is the thing here? Because inclusivity is not it. No. Equality is not it.
They're just the buzzwords that they use in order to make it seem as if these are noble causes, when in reality you
and
have
if you
to look
go
deeper
against
than
it,
that.
you're a bad person.
Well, I mean, it's the easiest way.
And when you look at an ideology, ideologies are never about equality. They're about control. I don't want my ideology to be the same as yours. You mentioned Islam a little while ago. I don't want my Christianity to be the same as yours. I want to have the superior religion, right? I want to have the one that logically makes more sense than anything else. So ideologies, whether they are religious or political or philosophical or whatever, they're after control. So at the end of the day, you answer your own question. What's the agenda? I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I wouldn't put it past them to not, they don't look farther than that. Right? Like, I don't think that they even consider what you're saying, because all they can see is the power and control.
Well, I watched this TED Talk not long ago because I made a video about all of these psycho doctors who are performing mastectomies on these healthy 12-year-old girls. And it's actually interesting that one of these primary doctors, who's quite popular on TikTok, she's in Miami. I believe that there's a class action lawsuit that's going to be filed against her, which is really interesting. And I hope that you guys will keep track of that, because these people, they're just mutilating kids, and no one really seems to give, two damns about it. But exactly, they have a degree. Oh, cool. I went to school once. So it's interesting, because when I think about what they're doing to the young kids and how they're pushing this so aggressively, there's two things that come from that for me. Firstly, I think that a lot of this is, these are the emo kids, but not from the 2000s. They're like the emo kids, but just like worse mental illness. You know how we were like, I'm depressed, and then you would pretend to cut your wrists, and then your parents would go, Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I cut my wrist constantly. You can tell I'm, very, very well adjusted. No, but really, that was the thing, is all these kids would go, I was cutting myself, and then your parents would go, oh no, that's so terrible, and then they would pay more attention to you. I think that that's what this is. This is like a fitting in thing. But for the kids who really participate, and who, go through the trouble of having bottom surgery. I nearly just said the graphic term for it, but bottom surgeries and top surgeries. This TED Talk that I was listening to, it was an endocrinologist, adolescent endocrinologist speaking, and she basically was like, well, why can't we just sterilize kids? I mean, they don't need these things anyway. And I was thinking to myself, these are the people who have control over your offspring and who are basically dictating whether or not your kid can produce children later down the line, predicated on how they feel at 10.
Yeah.
That's messed.
Yeah.
And then to push that in schools is messed.
Well, see, now if you want to, again, I'm not trying to lessen a mental illness down to playing pretend. Because the whole thing is, if you're truly dealing with that, you're dealing with a mental health issue.
Yeah, you need
This
therapy.
isn't about playing
Not
cowboys
enabling,
and Indians or cops and robbers. I identify as a cop. They're not going to suddenly, tattoo. You give me bad tattoos. Whatever. They're not just going to suddenly say, "Oh, he's a cop" for the rest of his life. No, that's what I played when I was a kid. I knew boys that tried on their mom's high heels, because they came into the closet or whatever. It doesn't mean all of a sudden,
My son did that at about 4.
They do that. I mean, that's
Your
what you do.
Your child must now transition. What have you done, Sarah?
Okay, no,
He
literally.
needs a transition closet so he can become Superman.
My 18-month-old loves to try. I've said this on the program before. He loves to he wants me to put my headband on his head, and he runs to the mirror and looks at himself, and he thinks it's hilarious, and then he pulls it off and wants me to do it again. And I'm like, if we're a liberal household, I'm transitioning him into a girl right now.
I don't know if you saw the TikTok video. I think we've got it on one of my episodes this week where the guy, he's a teacher, and he's talking about the transition closets where you can come in. He says, Clark Kent was the persona. That was the costume, but he really was Superman. He was Kal-El. And I was like, okay, we're comparing these kids to cartoons, which is, again, I keep saying, there's 37 genders. No, there's male and female and 35 versions of queer. But besides that, it's like the rest of this is you guys, for the most part, are playing make-believe.
Yes.
And I'm saying it facetiously, but also in a mean way to get the point across.
Yeah.
You're playing with these kids' minds here. So, the TikTok where this teacher was going, well, we've got to give them a place where they can take off their Clark Kent and truly be Superman. This is abuse.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's funny too, because when you think about it, they go on about how gender stereotypes are the reason why we're seeing issues like this, because these gender non-conforming children, whatever the hell that means, because I'm pretty sure when we were growing up, if you wanted to wear pants and run around in the dirt, you could do that. That was fine. And I'm sure that if little boys were like, yep, cool, I don't want to play with trucks, I like drawing and whatever it is that little boys like, I don't know, that was fine. So it's funny how on one hand they use this, let's not force children to participate in outdated stereotypes, but then what determines whether or not you're transgender as a child is whether or not you like pink things and Barbie dolls as a little boy, and now you're trans. There you go. This is it forever. Let's sterilize you. No more babies. Population control done.
Yeah, because if gender is fluid,
I just solved the problem.
you need to be able to go back and forth.
Well, no, then at that point they just castrate you.
Well, I know.
Well, there you can't go back.
I know.
It's not fluid. It's not fluid. Once you go over to the other side, you can't come back. They burn the bridge.
I
They
know.
surgically.
They burn the bridge while you're on the bridge, Chad. That's how you. No, that's. You're assuming you get off the bridge. There's no getting off.
Yeah,
that's
from
why
the bridge, you swing to one side from a pubic hair, assuming there's still any there. Who knows? I don't know if you can get pubic hair anymore.
Okay. Well, I feel like this is a great time to
There's a lot of
take a
weird
break.
philosophical Brave New World things. We could take this way down some weird rabbit holes.
Okay. Well, actually, before we go to break, I want to ask both of you guys this. Do you find it fascinating that the Democrats they see what happens when you go after people's kids in schools? They saw what happened in Virginia. They saw what happened in deep blue San Francisco, where the school board members were recalled. They're seeing this happen all across the country, and they can't help themselves but just double down on this bad freaking behavior that America overwhelmingly is saying, yeah, you're not going to screw with our kids.
Look at the mask deal, okay? You start putting masks on 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, whatever, and now they're 14, 15 years old, 2 years into this thing, whatever, and now they're walking around out in the middle of, I was in rural Texas the other day in a little town. These kids are probably 17. They're walking down the street. They're all masked up because they got masked up when they were 15. So you tell them that that's the normal way to do it. Now that's what they do. They get up. That's part of getting dressed. Put your underwear on, put your pants on, put your shirt on, put your mask on. You don't know any different. They've controlled their brain. They've lobotomized them.
The parents should.
The parents should, but the parents are stupid.
Well, but the parents are the ones who are voting. So I'm just saying why.
The teachers are stupid. The politicians are stupid. The parents are stupid. Let's go back to the overpopulation conversation we were having a minute ago. It's the bozos that she mentioned. That it's like we've lobotomized ourselves. Go back a couple of weeks and go back to another episode that I did about the 2 levels of the mind. We've cut off the critical thinking. So now just the surface level of decision making, we've now deceived ourselves into thinking that that's complex thought. It's not.
Yeah.
We have no idea how to go down in there to get into real decision making anymore.
Yeah.
Much less leadership.
Right. Yeah, no, all great points. All right, let's go ahead and take a break here, and we'll be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Keeps. So if you are losing your hair, I get it. A lot of men are very sensitive about it, even though it's not your fault. It's just your genes. You can't control it. But we've got great news for you. Keeps has you covered. Keeps is going to offer doctor-recommended, clinically proven, research-backed treatments to stop hair loss and also improve hair growth. You guys have seen Jason Buttrell on the program here. You guys have seen him through the years. You guys who've been watching a long time have seen him through the years go from bald to having hair again. That is because he used Keeps. Seriously, he said that he went to an event and one woman was like, "Can I touch it?"
He literally did a video the
She was
other
talking
day.
about his hair, by the way.
He did a video for Glenn's, promoting Glenn's deal. He actually got on the video and messed his hair up.
Yeah. I mean,
it was legitimately messed up.
Legitimately, this has triggered so much regrowth in his hair. Keith Malinak at the studio is using it as well, and he has seen the same thing. And you do it all from home. So you're going to take pictures, send it all to the Keeps physicians, and they're going to give you the right products and treatment for your specific condition and hair goals delivered directly to your door. It is super, super easy, and it's going to save you a lot of money because it's all generic, all of the generic formulas. You can go to keeps.com/Y. I think you get 50% off your first order if you go to keeps.com/Y. So speculation is mounting that Elon Musk is planning a hostile takeover of Twitter. I want to get into this particular story, but I first want to welcome to the program Lisa Reynolds, political commentator Lisa Reynolds.
Hi, guys.
She's
waving at us.
Hi. Lisa, I think the last time you were on my show was that when I was remote.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys were in studio.
She remembers the topic, but doesn't remember the.
That
was when you were.
I was still
on a big
quarantining.
camera
so
thingy
it's good
for
to
us.
actually share the set with you this time. So I want to get y'all's opinion on what's going on with Elon Musk and Twitter. We talked about it at the end of last week, but as we know, a weekend goes by and the story completely changes. So word on the street was that Elon was going to join the Twitter board of directors. And with that specific position came some ramifications, like he was not allowed to purchase a certain amount of Twitter share. He was kind of limited in what he could do, but he would be able to join the board. So they announced that Elon was joining the board, and then I believe this was yesterday, the CEO has said, Elon has decided not to join our board. I sent a brief note to the company sharing with you all here, and he tweeted out this long announcement. We announced that on Tuesday that Elon would be appointed to the board contingent on a background check and formal acceptance. But he shared that same morning he was to be accepted that he will no longer be joining the board. I believe this is for the best. We have and will always value input from our shareholders, whether they are on the board or not. Elon is our biggest shareholder, and we will remain open to his input. So he actually, as this was going on this morning, Elon Musk filed paperwork with the SEC indicating that he will keep criticizing the platform and demanding change. So he had originally filed the form to be a passive investor, and he amended it to show that he would be an activist investor with intentions to create change. I think if someone's going to do it, Why not? Why not Elon Musk?
Wouldn't you just like to have that FU money? Just
Yeah,
be like,
I know.
here's
That's why
$3
I'm
billion.
like,
I'm
let
going
him
to buy
do
some
it.
shares, get 9.5% of Twitter. And I mean, he's still a globalist. Let's don't kill
Oh,
ourselves.
it's not. I'm not one person who's like, he agrees with us on one issue. He's red-pilled. No.
Yeah.
I know who he
I
is,
always like to throw that in there because I don't like people jumping on the bandwagon because somebody agreed with you on
Right.
something.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, but
he's just weird
it's okay
enough
having
that like
someone
I like to
on
see
your
it.
team for
Well,
once.
it's great to have somebody with some clout. That's why I say to have the money to come in there.
There's more people with more money than him that are leftists anyway. So all this speculation is doing is waiting for like Soros or Bezos or somebody else to come in and buy up a bigger percentage.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Maybe if they have any interest in that. I don't know that those guys. I mean, for some reason, some of those guys like Musk and Joe Rogan, not a money guy on that level,
Right.
but these guys of note, the Bill Maher's of the world, right? They have some skin in that game, and so there's a vested interest for them. I don't know that a guy like Bezos does.
So maybe not Bezos, but
But some
or
guy like
Gates
that,
or
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those guys who make a living being a public figure in that way. Bezos is always hiding off or going into space somewhere with his girlfriend and his steroided up body. But I don't know.
Bill Gates is buying up all your farmland so that you can have to
that's
eat
true.
what do they call it? Ultimate meat? What is it? The name of
Beyond
the,
Meat?
Beyond
Yeah.
Meat.
Beyond
Meat.
Meat.
He ain't eating
Chad,
that.
I know how much you like Beyond Meat.
Have you seen his? That's
meats?
why I went out and killed a 600-pound nil guy in South Texas.
You did a what?
I killed a 600-pound nil guy.
Was it with your hands? Because if it wasn't, it doesn't
It
count.
was with a spear from
Nah, it
150 yards.
Doesn't count.
Yeah,
We
I
need to go
gutted
back
that
to
thing.
Viking times. You've got me hooked on it, Sid.
Oh yes, no. Men must in fact walk around with hatchets and large weapons. That's
I'm
the
always
only-
carrying a large weapon, but
Are
that's
you?
a whole
Tell
other
us more
story.
about that.
Please do.
Wait,
I'm
this really
saying-
is taking a turn, this conversation.
I'm always armed.
Why did you put us in the same room? You did
I
this.
know.
to
I
us.
did
you
do
know
this
when
to
Sydney and I
myself.
are together, it's
I
gonna
did
be
do
like
this to
this.
myself.
No, but I don't know who has the skin in the game on that. But I love the fact that a guy has, at least he's not doing it yet, but potentially has the ability, whether it's a hostile takeover or just out and out buying the company, at least kind of gave them the middle finger that said, you can't, no, you're not going to silence me by putting me on your board. So that's admirable.
But
in
didn't they
that
just
regard.
go and ban a couple other people like recently this weekend? I saw some weird.
Yeah, Juanita Broderick yesterday.
Yeah, so they're really not.
They're
Caring that
still
much.
doing it. I mean,
Right.
they're still doing it. I would
He
wear that
should
as
have
a
put more
badge
money
of
in.
honor.
He should have put like 51%.
Well,
in.
hold on. So my understanding is this, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I freely admit I don't have the greatest comprehension of this issue. But my understanding is that if he was sitting on the board, then what he could own of the company or the shares or whatever the terminology is was limited. I believe to 14%.
Yes.
Without him being on the board, he can actually fully take
Do
over.
unlimited.
if
And he has
so
the means to
desires.
do so.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think he would want to, though? Like, in your opinion? As a comms director, as an expert lady at
Comms
the
director.
communication.
I think he just wants to intimidate them, but because why would you only put 9 in? What about the rest? Like, if you have that kind of money, you actually want to do something, go put in 51% and call it a day.
Would that be his ultimate plan, though, in the long run?
Right. Like do it, become the largest
Yes.
shareholder first,
Right.
make waves on that, and then plan your next move. Like, it doesn't all have to.
He's just been playing chicken with them,
Well,
he
I just
was
love
tweeting,
all through the weekend.
Yeah,
You're
right.
right.
He
Right.
was
His polls.
Yeah.
They're amazing. He's
And then he was also saying, I believe on Facebook, he was like, should I take over Facebook? Did he?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if anyone's going to do this,
playing chicken.
I just
It's
love
funny.
that it's
It's-
Elon Musk. He's
Yeah.
just weird enough.
He is weird.
He is weird. Like,
What did he name his kid? Aeon Flux or something? Flux capacitor? What is it?
Yeah.
557201.
I have some
One.
concerns
Have to
about
look
Musk
this
in
Yeah,
China.
he
though,
did do one of those weird.
Why? What are your concerns?
Space stuff, like, all of a sudden he's, getting space deals over there, and the way that his companies are, like, they share executives and things like that, and the way that China is getting some low orbit space technology so quickly may have to do with his models. But
Well, that's
whatever.
true. I mean, now China has a technology not to launch bombs at us, but just drop bombs on us.
They didn't have, they didn't have it
that.
before until he was there.
And I
like,
remind
so-
everybody, that's why I always say Elon Musk is still a globalist. He's the first guy he was the guy who came out and said the government, we need to be careful about governments getting control of AI. And then he goes out and invents AI. He goes out and invents labor robots that can be used. So it's a dangerous world we're living in. That, guys like that, again, Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't care who it is, if it's Elon Musk, maybe some wire snaps and he doesn't have Asperger's anymore, and suddenly now he's, just crazy.
You don't become a billionaire though just by like,
He didn't
tilling a field.
So
Is it like
yes and no.
Tilling
Now he didn't just become a self-made billionaire. There's a lot of history there.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, yeah, he's
not a dumb guy.
You probably have to be a little evil to have that much money behind you.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like the devil you know, right? I suppose that, and just on the China thing, what you just reminded me of was this cool story that I read where China has apparently put out some little satellites that will attract American satellites and then crush and eat them.
If I were going to do satellites, I would definitely have Pac-Man satellites.
That's what they do. They're in the space and then they
like little magnets,
and then they crush them.
Satellites.
They're like, so you don't have to only worry about being bombed and having bombs drop directly on you. You can also worry about your satellites getting consumed by Chinese satellites.
Yeah, well, don't worry because our military is on it. They're having like LGBTQ inclusivity
That's exceedingly
Zoom
important.
calls. While China is just strengthening all of their men, so it's fine. It'll all end up fine.
But they're taking away all of their cats and putting them in bags and then murdering them. So there are drawbacks to yeah, no, it makes me. I can't even joke about it.
Don't even get me
so
started.
angry.
I know. All right, we've got to go to break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Novo. So, look, if you're an entrepreneur, we're talking about Elon Musk. He's being an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur and not Elon Musk and not a billionaire, you understand that you need support everywhere you can get it. To support you, Novo built a new kind of business checking. It's very simple business checking, and unlike the traditional banking model, Novo has no minimum balances, no transaction limits, no hidden fees. They do not do a one-size-fits-all approach like the rest of them. They are customized to your business to save you time and free up cash flow. They've got seamless integrations to Stripe, Shopify, QuickBooks, and more. Sign up for Novo for free. You can join the community of over 150,000 fearless small business owners who have found this customizable business checking solution that works for them and helps them focus on what they need to, which is profit and money. You got to sign up for your free business checking account right now at novo.co/y. As a listener of this program, you're going to get access to over 5,000 in perks and discounts. You got to go there. It is Novo, novo.co/y. By the way, Novo Platform Inc. is a fintech, not a bank. Banking services provided by Middlesex Federal Savings, FA, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. You say that quickly. Joe Biden's approval rating has taken a hit again. This is according to a new CBS News YouGov poll that was released yesterday. Biden's approval rating now sits at 42%. This is 1 point lower than the previous rating. Guys, I don't know why. I don't know why. Everything is going great. It's just transitory inflation, so don't worry about it.
You took that sentence in a completely different direction to where I thought you were going to go, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish, but I am completely.
What's the independent? Does it say what the independent voters are in that? Because 42 is general, right? Like it's Democrats
it says. Let's see. All I have on independents here is that 67% of independents said Biden could do more to lower gas prices.
That's a weird way to phrase something.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to say 100% of people hate you. Like that's
So, but what is it? 58% disapproval rating. And what I was going to say was, I don't know why, because things are going great. The country is doing great. And we have a very competent president, as you can tell from this clip that surfaced over the weekend. Watch.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping, traveling with him. I guess we traveled 17,000 miles when I was vice president. I don't know that for a fact.
What was the single word?
I don't know.
Possibilities.
Something.
Ultimately, he went on to say possibilities.
He was in the foothills
of the Himalayas
with Xi Jinping?
If you go on further, he continues telling this story, and Xi Jinping supposedly asks him what it makes America great. He goes, possibilities.
Did he whisper it weirdly?
He whispers it the way he does it.
I want to know why that's such a high number to me. It's like 42 or 48% of the population think that this is any of this is okay.
But these people are deceived. So I posted a thing, I don't know, last night.
You can't be that blind.
I posted a deal last night where I said, the world needs real men, right?
Yes.
I just, it triggers people and whatever, but it's a true statement.
It is true.
And so people keep coming to me, well, you keep picking on a real man, Joe Biden. I was like, are you seriously going to defend this guy? And they said, well, yeah, you made fun of his clip where he looks lost in a crowd full of people when he was in there with Barack Obama.
Yeah, he was
and they said,
legitimately
and
lost.
so Rolling Stone did an article. Rolling Stone, I read it today, and they said this is a Fox News edit when he was lost in a room full of people, right? They kept saying they cut it short because he's trying to get Barack's attention. He wants to introduce him to somebody. And so I'm watching the rest of the clip, all right? It's maybe 3 more seconds long, where Obama finally turns around, shakes somebody's hand, and the whole time he does it, Biden's still staring off into space like this, like, okay, my mission is accomplished here. I'm back to the ozone.
Right.
And so I'm like, you can't defend this guy.
No.
And it's sad when I watch those clips. It's like I feel for this man. I'm sad for this man, but I'm angered at the same time. Yeah. I'm pissed off at people that even still support this or promote or defend this.
Yeah.
This is dumb.
Well, and to Lisa's point, the Democrats, amongst the Democrats that were polled, 61% of them said they believe Biden is doing all he can to lower gas prices. That's compared to 93% of Republicans. So it's just like we have that many people who are fully indoctrinated into the cult.
Yeah, but I always wonder, like, who is participating in these polls? Like, who
Have you ever been polled?
I've never been polled.
I haven't either.
But I think about this all the time, right? Because I'm pretty sure that on a statistical level, and you probably know better than me because you're a wizard like that, Lisa's a freak. She's got like mad recall. She's got like a photographic memory. It's horrifying. Anyway, so I always think to myself, it's this country, probably 30%, I would say, based on what I've read, are legitimately like blue voters. Like they are Democrats, they lean to the left, they are these like psychos that want to do all these things that most of us abhor in this room. So then I think, okay, so 70% of the population is left over who must be in some capacity reasonably, well-attuned, reasonably well-adjusted human beings, I hope. So I go, how is it that 30% of the population is dictating what the other 70% is doing? That's insane to me. And then I have to think about the voting trends in this country, who's turning up to vote, why so few people turn up to vote, why people don't give a crap. And we know that democracy is there's some kinks, there's some things that don't work about it, I get that, but I still don't understand how 30% of the population gets to hold 70% hostage. That is insane to me.
So I want to, as we're talking about the demographics and how all of this breaks down and how we can have so many stupid people in this country, I want to bring up a slide that I saw surface on Twitter over the weekend. So this is comparing a 2018 Pew Research poll or study to now in 2022 and looking at the shift as far as congressional preference goes. So men, college plus degree, they've shifted to Republican 26% shift, okay? Men, no degree, a Republican, it's a 12% swing. Women, college degree, college educated, they actually, this is the thing, guys, they've shifted to Democrat +4. There's been a swing 4 points to Democrats in college educated women with no degree are leaning now. The shift has been towards Republican 2 points.
I think there's less male enrollment right now in the last year or two, too, than I remember statistically, too. Like, men aren't going and women are, and they're indoctrination machines. That's
so we need to have a talk about the 19th Amendment?
No, see,
Did you say women are indoctrination machines?
No, universities are.
Universities are, but yes, women are too. you see, they're the ones that are leading, like, feminism. They burn their brows and they ruin our lives. This is what happened. I always say that they have ruined everything. Like, men aren't men anymore, women aren't women anymore. And who's leading the charge? It's not men that are going around saying, like, you need to do this. It's women that are going around. That are being our teachers and the ones
and men
that
are just sitting back and letting it happen.
Right.
To be fair, though, no one's actually reaching out to women to like bring them on side. Like what I find on the right wing, and this has really started to piss me off in the last little while, is that everyone's like, "Oh, women are stupid. Women go to university and turn out to be these like leftist crackpots." And I get it. I went to university. I did 2 degrees, and I saw a lot of the leftist crackpots.
You made it through. I made it through. And I went to a really leftist school. So,
same. I mean, Melbourne University, like leftist of the left. It's insane. But the thing that annoys me is like alienating women is not the way to bring them on side. There are plenty of women out there who probably lean to the left simply because they don't know any better, or because they went through the education system, came out the other end of it, and were like, oh, I was never exposed to a different idea, so therefore this is the primary perspective that I've arrived at. It's not helpful then for conservatives and people on the right to turn around and be like, well, women, you're just big dum-dums, and therefore you must stay a dum-dum. We're not even going to try to reach out and bring you into the fray. It just annoys the crap out of me. Like,
So how do you bring them in?
I don't have an answer.
See, I feel like that also plays into the identity politics, though. Like,
I
why
have
are
to
we?
think on it, and I'll come up with a solution.
Yeah, no, I am fascinated
like
by it, because for me,
that.
I deal with these people, and I'm like, there's just no getting through to some of them. Right, like I
Of
just
course.
don't know that.
And that's the men as well. They're like
these are the people-
leftisty, feministy men that you're like, ugh.
Well, yeah, because these are the people who say Joe Biden is doing an amazing job and doing all he can to like save our economy, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right. I mean, if that's how you feel, you're probably too far gone for me to reason
I
with.
think it's that a lot of women, I would say, especially coming through the education system, and ladies, correct me if you think I'm wrong here, I think what happens is women get into particularly university, and then they get taught that, oh, if you lean to the right, if you support right-wing ideas, then many of the things, pertaining to, I don't know, like reproduction, or some women are very like staunchly like, no, I'm really pro-choice, and there are these sort of matters that women think that the right wing will take from them, and maybe they will in some capacity. Maybe there are some issues that the right wing overwhelmingly will come in and steer away from women. But by and large, like I don't personally find that conservatives are actually working towards sending women back to the 1950s as they think that is going to happen.
Handmaid's Tale.
But I think that's what they think will happen if they are to engage with right-wing viewpoints or right-wing viewpoints. So I think that's probably a lot of it, is just not really understanding what the other side has to offer, or growing up in ridiculously conservative households where mommy and daddy didn't hug you enough.
Dude, I will say that men with mommy issues are way worse than women with daddy issues. Facts.
Yes, I will concur on
100%
that
true.
one.
But that's another
They're
story.
the
I was
ones
gonna
who-
say,
they're
I
the
think that's a
ones
different
who-
podcast.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
no, I don't know. I don't think that we should be targeting. Like, I know that I'm in politics right now. That's what I'm supposed to do. And we're supposed to like target like certain groups and to bring them into our coalition, whatever you want to say. But like, I just stick to our principles all the time and make them totally consistent all the time, and have people actually stand up for the same principles over and over again. Then people will just see that our way of life is better and come over to the side.
Yeah, I think, and I know we have to go to break, but I think that that's what was so great about Trump, was that people called him all sorts of names, but at least in the minority community, he had record number of turnout because he stuck to what he said he was going to. He put them back to work. They had record numbers of, employment, and they were seeing the effects of it. So it was personally touching them, and they were like, wow, actually, I'm in a much better position now with Trump as president than I was before, when I had a bunch of Democrats constantly lying to me about the handouts that they were going to give. So I would say that
I think that's why the red wave, I think that's why we're going to have so many seats come the midterms, because people that don't actually care, normally we're like, okay, everything's fine, everything's kind of going great, and now they're like, whoa, I can't afford groceries. Whoa, I can't afford gas. Whoa, mortgage rates are up to 5%.
Right.
We're in trouble. And I
Right.
think that's why we're seeing such big shifts.
Last thing before you go to break,
Yeah.
just back to that female thing. Because when you're talking and then things leave your brain, I got the thing back that I wanted to say. Women vote on, most of the time, one issue. And that's what happened for Trump in the election when he won. Women voted on one issue. And I think that's why a lot of the times they look like they're Democrats, maybe when they're not, because they are focused solely on one or two things, and that's what they predicate their vote on. And that's an important thing that I think people on the right need to realize.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
that's my bit.
All right, we've got more to come. We got to take a break, but we'll be back.
Dude, I took, what's his face's? Peterson's personality test.
Daily Beast contributor Thor Benson, he's not only with the Daily Beast, by the way, he's a contributor for a variety of left-wing media outlets, The Atlantic, Rolling Stone, NBC News, Business Insider, took to Twitter over the weekend to brag about harassing Andy Ngo, which again, I'm not sure that why you go to Twitter and brag about harassing someone who's just trying to live their life in a bar. But let's see this tweet. It says, I just ran into Andy Ngo at a bar in New Orleans. I politely told him he's a garbage person, LOL. To which Andy Ngo responded, Thor Benson, a white freelance writer, thought he found me and instead harassed a random Asian in New Orleans and made him leave a bar. Benson's followers said the man should have been assaulted. So
this.
Yeah, just literally
That makes
just
me
like
so happy.
Stop Asian hate.
truly, but also like, so I guess Thor Benson just thinks that all Asians look
the same.
alike, I guess. But the bigger, like to me, the bigger issue is that it's okay. Like even if it had been Andy Ngo, this is what we're doing now. We're just like harassing people who are
Our politicians
trying to live.
encouraged it for years.
It's true.
Do you think Andy made that up? Was it really Andy? I want to know.
It
Get Andy
was
on the
not
phone.
Andy.
Andy, I'm
It was
pretty
not
sure
Andy.
He said it
Andy's in the
wasn't
UK right now.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
He lives
He's
in the
not
UK.
in New Orleans.
Get Andy on the phone. I want to talk to Andy.
Okay, I'll put him
Text
up on my
Andy.
speed dial.
Text Andy.
He-
Like, where were you? Are all Asians gay? I don't know.
No, I would say
Oh
no.
my God.
Imagine not knowing who someone, like imagine not liking someone, not quite knowing what they look like, seeing someone who looks close enough, going up to them and being like, you're a garbage human.
And I'm gonna
then-
hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. And then being like, blah, blah, blah. And then when they leave, being like, yeah. And then tweeting about
Then
it.
tweeting about
and then
it.
that not being the person.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how
love it.
crazy is the world that we're living in that all of those things you thought were good ideas?
Yeah. And one after the other, too. You were like, yes, yes, yes. Tweet.
Yes. It's crazy. but-
Imagine being
Come to
called
my
Thor.
bar, Thor.
That's the worst. That's the worst bit
does have
of
a
all
cool
of
name.
this. Thor.
Come to my bar, Distribution Bar, Fort Worth, Texas.
I mean, don't do that, Thor. You're
Why
gonna,
don't
we're
you?
gonna
Why
regret
don't you
it.
tweet at this person? Apparently, that's their medium.
Come to my bar.
You will regret
See
that
if I
decision,
leave.
Thor. You will regret
See
that
who
decision.
leaves.
He's probably short. You could just stand on him like a good, he's a little
Yeah.
goblin person.
It'll actually be
They're all
me.
short, fat, or ugly.
I just can't.
Facts.
I just can't imagine like being so.
Aren't you happy
I mean,
we're
I-
derailing your episode?
Sorry. I'm not helping. Usually I'm
define
not
happy.
like that.
That's why I'm staying conspicuously silent on most things, especially with these two ladies around.
Well, I thought that the influx of estrogen would be a good idea.
I'm in cycle with all of you.
I definitely feel like I'm more on the male side.
I listen. There's a lot of testosterone in this room.
Yeah, so you know what? We're
True.
just going to go ahead and go to break. We'll be right back. So I wanted to share a proud mom moment. My son had an assignment where they were covering the different branches of the government, and he had to also write a letter to the state representative that is in the area where his school is. And so he did his little judicial, executive, legislative, and then at the bottom, he included his letter that says, "Dear Representative Parker, I ask you to please lower the taxes because people are suffering and paying too much money. Also, taxation is theft."
I love him.
Now, he did spell sincerely wrong, but I didn't have the heart to point it out to him because I was so proud of the content of the letter. So, look,
You're
gotta teach
you're
early.
a role model. That's what you got to do. We need more parents that will actually not have their kids.
Yeah, so in
believe
his
the
school, they're talking about
propaganda.
things like this, how the government is set up, and not gender identity and turning trans. But it's a private school, so that's
your
the
kids have
problem.
What your kid is
That's the
learning is that
problem.
taxation is theft, and that is arguably the most important.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're having these conversations at home. I sent a note to his teacher because I was like, I don't want him to get in trouble for writing that. So I was like, look, it's an inside joke at our house. He knows it. We talk about it all the time because of the industry that I'm in. So I just wanted to make sure you knew. Because listen, the representative is Republican. So I'm like, he'll get a laugh out of it.
Right.
You know, so I was like, don't worry. We're not trying to like mess with anyone. I know who he is. I know who he's associated with. He'll be fine. He'll think it's funny.
I definitely indoctrinate my kids, and I think it's fine. And they pass out Trump stickers at school and get in trouble. So, and I'm okay
Your
with that.
kids pass out Trump
Olivia,
stickers?
yeah, yeah, passing out Trump stickers.
Why?
And
Do you get a call from the
give
school
them
and
the
you're
Trump
like,
stickers?
oh.
She I must have had a roll of something somewhere, and she was like passing them out at school, like, yeah, Trump. She's like, don't vote for Biden, he's an idiot, and like going out 7 years
What
old.
a girl.
That is so funny. Well, it's one of those
fine.
things that like the school calls you and they're like, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll take care of it. And then you're like, great job. Get off the phone.
They're
You're
like,
like,
"Here's an ice cream."
More of this. Yeah,
Congratulations.
exactly. I got
I'm
your
lucky that the
back.
school's conservative. Like, they're all very conservative, but like they were just like, no politics in school, just in case some of the other students aren't. I'm like, well, then they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. I don't know, but
So
but
cute.
that's you got to be teaching your kids these things. Don't leave it to the schools. If you watch this program, you should already know that, but I feel like it's worth repeating. Don't leave it to the schools to teach them these valuable lessons. They're going to teach them about turning trans instead. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. Chad, Lisa, Sydney, it's been a pleasure.
My favorite humans.
All
Thank you, Max.